Well, hello, this is Grandpa Roy Haney telling stories so they're not lost, so my kids can have them and their kids and, well, your kids too. You know, we're at a time, this is 2012, and we have many friends that's been in Iraq and Afghanistan and things of that such. And way back when, I was in the military. I was in the Air Force. And I want to tell you a little story about how I almost got in trouble. Now, when I got to tech school, they told me that if I would become a rope, I would not have to march. And there's something a boy does not like to do, and that's march. And I looked around, and they had such a thing called a green rope. A green rope was a maintenance rope. Well, I was raised in the country. I was raised fixing things, and all I had to do was take care of the barracks. And there's all 60 of us on this floor, and just one floor. And okay, that's fine. I'll be a green rope. I go down to the requisition where we get stuff, and I get signed for a whole case of light bulbs. And I go through every room, and I replace every light bulb in that whole barracks. That's about the only thing goes out. And if they're all new, I'm going to be there a little over 6 months. Light bulbs last over 6 months. I didn't have nothing to do. Everything was wonderful until we moved barracks. I had a first sergeant. He was a wonderful first sergeant. But he would come out of his office. He would walk down our hall. His office door was right there at the end of our hall. He would come down to the water fountain. He would get a drink. He would start his inspection. Our new barracks had a freeze and had froze the water fountain and busted the tank. I could not fix that tank. I had to order it. They told me it'd be 6 months before they would get another water fountain. This first sergeant, he had been getting water out of the water fountain before he started, I guess before Moses was a private. And he would get mad every time out of habit. He'd reach down to try to get a drink of water, and that fountain was turned off. And he turned around to me and says, "Son, if you want to be a rope, you're going to have to be a little more ingenuitive than this." And he walks off. Well, I knew exactly what that meant. That Saturday night, I had already borrowed a couple of pipe wrenches. See, our old barracks was being renovated, and there was a good water fountain. Now, that old barracks was about a quarter mile away across space. The only time in Biloxi, Mississippi, I think it ever snowed was that day. So late at night, about 9 o'clock, I get a friend of mine. He had a 68 cought. Now, those that don't know coughs, they had a luggage rack on the back of the trunk that you could put something. So I unhooked this old ceramic heavier than sin water fountain, carried it out just all I could do, put it on the back of his cought, went over to the other barracks. I start to unhook this brand new, and he looks at me and says, "I'm scared, I'm leaving." And he leaves. Now, I don't know what to do, except I've got 2 water coolers here. I don't have any water coolers over there. I've got to go back to my barracks, so I might as well take the good water cooler with me. So I got it all unhooked. Thank the Lord it was stainless steel. It wasn't those old ceramic ones. It wasn't quite as heavy. But now it is snowing hard. I step outside. The ground is covered with snow. I've got this water cooler up on my shoulder. You know, it's one of those big ones. I've got it on my shoulder. Got the pipe wrenches in my field jacket. I walk to the walk. The sidewalk is totally covered with snow, and I looked out in the highway, and there's a couple of tracks in the highway. At least I'd be down not on the snow. So I step out in the highway. It's snowing real hard. Nobody can see me. You can barely see anything. And I start walking back to my barracks. I get about halfway there, and lights come on behind me. I just keep on walking. I walk, and here comes up right beside me, yep, security police. Security police boy rolls up. He rolls down his window. He looks at me. He looks at the water cooler and says, "What are you doing?" I look at him. I look at my water cooler. I look back at him and says, "I'm walking my water cooler." He looks at me. He thinks a minute. He rolls up his window and he goes on down the road. Evidently, it was not in his quota to get a boy walking his water cooler. I walked it back to the barracks. I hooked it up. Monday morning, first sergeant come. By habit, he reaches down, starts to get a drink of water. He catches himself, but he notices the water comes on. He gets a drink of water and he looks at this brand new water cooler. He looks at me. He takes his note, makes a check on it, says, "Barracks inspection done today." Nobody got inspected that day. We got a water cooler. Y'all take care now. This Grandpa Roy. Bye-bye.